When you look at American society today, from your perspective as someone who writes about not only social issues but also puts it into the context of plays, what do you see?
Oh my God. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by American society. It's the news in the last 24 hours is so horrifying that it's really hard to talk about anything but that.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look at American society, I see a country that the majority of which voted for Hillary Clinton for president. It's increasingly racially, ethnically diverse, and that is struggling to emerge from the last very long period of political misadventure, which began with Ronald Reagan in 1980, and of course has roots going back before that, but has come to its full flowering with this monster in the White House.
Yeah.
I feel like the country is, a complicated and extraordinary place full of really remarkable people, and it's very important, I think, for us to hang on to the truth of the situation, which is that Donald Trump doesn't represent a majority of Americans.
Yeah.
The majority of Americans still respect democracy and respect the idea of government by law. And also the majority of Americans, even some people who voted for Donald Trump, are patriots. I mean, actually believe that our country has sovereignty and an integrity worth guarding against foreign interference, whereas evidence is mounting just, to staggering proportions that Donald Trump and the people that surround him in the White House are traitors.
Yeah.
I mean, without any hyperbole at all, that they have basically are doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin.
Well, for you as a writer, you must see a lot of common themes with, especially the historical context of what you write about. Are we in a different, new platform, or is it nothing's the same, everything's the same in terms of the issues?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Are you looking at history as more cylindrical with what we're seeing today, or is it just linear?
Well, I mean, I can't really. It's a complicated question. I don't actually know the shape of history. I think that's a huge theoretical question. There has been tremendous progress in certain areas of national culture and national life and transformations in the American community. We've just had 8 years of an absolutely extraordinary president who was African American, and I am now able to. My husband and I are now legally married all over the United States. It's not a surprise to anyone who cares about these things to realize that no progress is irreversible, and that progress, in fact, always has to be guarded and protected and fortified. And if you take any progress for granted, you're going to regret it, because there will almost certainly be someone somewhere eager to step in and take progress away. So I think that there's no reason to say, and I think it would be a great mistake to say, that there hasn't been any progress or that all progress is meaningless. I think that's not in the slightest bit true. However, we are at the moment I think, the worst trouble we've ever been in as a country. I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say that this is a greater moment of peril for the United States and the world, in fact, than was posed by the American Civil War, which was, of course, something that happened during a non-nuclear age.
Yeah.
Now that Trump has moved, disreputable, completely discredited military fantasist into the position of the NSA, and has gotten rid of his Secretary of State, and on and on. I mean, we're in very, very, very serious trouble.
Are you optimistic about the future?
Well, I am. I believe that this country has. I think this is the things that we know are true. Is that this is the longest sustained experiment in democracy, and like Lincoln, I think all democracy is inherently a proposition. It's an experiment. But the American democratic experiment has been going on longer than any modern democracy. I believe longer, really, than anything that can actually be called a democracy in the history of the world. Yeah. And our institutions are very, very strong, and we're seeing tremendous resistance to the systematic devastation of these institutions by Trump and with the help of the Republican Party and in collusion with Vladimir Putin. But I think that there'll be tremendous pushback. I don't think that we're going to surrender democracy to these monstrous people.
Well, I do think a lot of people a lot of people are definitely starting to come off the sidelines.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I mean, for instance, the in North Carolina, the court decisions overturning gerrymandering in North Carolina. Yeah. I mean, it isn't possible to operate sort of brazenly in anti-democratic fashion for too long, as North Carolina has demonstrated. People who really hate democracy and don't understand the value of the popular will, or define the popular will as being, exclusively the will of one race. I mean, the white supremacists. I mean, the Republican Party of North Carolina has basically put itself on paper as being, systematically racist, which I think is indistinguishable from white supremacists. Yeah. So, you can do that, and you can get away with it a little while, and you can steal a lot of money while you're doing it. But you're going to get the system will catch up with you. The laws of this country will catch up with you. There's a lot that needs to be changed in the laws of this country. For instance, getting rid of the Electoral College. Yeah. But eventually, if you do as North Carolina did and create a gerrymandering system that, as the court said, was surgically designed to exclude black people from the electoral process, it's not going to work. You're going to get into trouble. You're going to lose, any hold on power you have. You'll be swept aside. Yeah. And I believe that that's coming. I absolutely believe it's coming. The only thing that can prevent it is an absolutely illegal, extra legal seizure of power, and I think we have to guard against that.